Have you ever wondered why some men become so insanely obsessed with certain women that they lose all sense of reality? They miss work, they neglect their friends and family, they blow all their money on fancy dinners just to spend a few hours with her, and they're willing to do anything for her, even if it means losing everything. What's going on here? Why can't these men just move on when a woman doesn't reciprocate their feelings? In this video, we're gonna take a deep dive into the psyche of these obsessive lovers and find out what makes them tick. We will also be looking at the dark side of desire and how it can turn into a prison if we let it. So if you're ready to learn something new, and maybe even save yourself or someone else from an unhealthy obsession, stick around until the end. You see, when a man becomes consumed by his desire for a woman and loses himself in the fantasy of winning her over, he actually ends up creating a prison for himself. This is because he's essentially giving away his power to her. When we give our power away, whether it's to a person, a substance, or an idea, we lose our freedom. It's as simple as that. And while it might seem like a small thing at first, like just fantasizing about a crush or daydreaming about a past lover, it can quickly become all-consuming if we're not careful. Before you know it, we're spending every waking moment thinking about the object of our desire, and we're willing to do almost anything to be near her. But what exactly is happening here? What makes some people become so obsessed with another human being that they lose all sense of reality? Let's break it down. According to Carl Jung, a renowned psychologist and psychoanalyst, the human psyche is made up of three parts: the shadow, the ego, and the superego. The shadow is the part of our personality that contains all of our hidden and suppressed emotions, thoughts, and traits. It's the dark side of our nature that we often try to ignore or deny. The ego is the part of our psyche that is responsible for making decisions and taking actions in the world. It's the part of us that is aware of reality and can function independently. The superego is the part of our personality that acts as a moral guide. It's the internalized set of values and norms that we learn from our upbringing and society. Now let's apply this to the situation of a man who is obsessed with a woman. When a man develops strong feelings for a woman, his ego becomes invested in the outcome. He starts to believe that his happiness and well-being depend on her reciprocating his feelings. As he becomes more and more obsessed, his ego starts to get inflated. He feels like he is in love and that he is the luckiest man in the world to have found such a beautiful and amazing woman. But in reality, he's really just in love with the idea of being in love. He has created a fantasy world where everything is perfect and he doesn't want to come back to reality. This is where the shadow starts to emerge. As his obsession grows, the man starts to become consumed by his negative emotions. He becomes jealous, possessive, and controlling towards the woman. He feels like he has the right to dictate how she behaves and who she spends her time with. He starts to treat her like an object rather than a human being with her own thoughts, feelings, and autonomy. You see, the thing about the shadow is that it's always lurking beneath the surface. It's never truly gone, but with the right amount of self-awareness and discipline, we can keep it under control. However, when we start to give our power away, that's when the shadow starts to creep out. The man's ego becomes his prison because it's keeping him trapped in a world of fantasy and delusion. He's unable to see reality clearly because his vision is clouded by his obsession. This is why it is so important to be aware of our own shadows and the dangers of giving our power away. If we don't, we could end up like the man in this story, trapped in a prison of our own making. But wait, there's more. There's another twist to this tale. You see, the woman in this story is also affected by the man's obsession. She too is trapped, but in a different way. She's trapped by the man's projections onto her. When we project something onto someone else, we're essentially placing our own thoughts, feelings, and traits onto them without even realizing it. We're basically seeing our own reflection in them and reacting accordingly. For example, the man might be projecting his own need for control and dominance onto the woman, which is why he becomes so jealous and possessive. He's not really angry at the woman for doing something wrong. He's really just angry at himself for having these dark urges. The woman is also affected by the man's shadow. When he becomes consumed by his negative emotions and starts acting out, she's the one who has to bear the brunt of it. She's the one who has to deal with his anger, possessiveness, and controlling behavior. It's as if the man's shadow is attacking her as a form of self-attack. In order to free ourselves from this cycle of obsession and projection, we must first become aware of it. We need to learn how to spot our own shadow in the projections that we're replacing onto others. Once we've done that, we can start to take responsibility for our own thoughts and actions. We can't blame the woman for our own shadow. We can't let our ego get the better of us and cause us to lose ourselves in a fantasy world. We need to stay grounded in reality and be honest with ourselves about our feelings and intentions. It's not easy, but it's definitely possible. It takes courage, self-awareness, and a willingness to grow. But the rewards are immeasurable. Not only will we free ourselves from the prison of our own making, but we'll also be able to form healthier and more meaningful relationships with others. Have you ever heard the quote? The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing? Well, that's what happens here too. The longer the man stays in this obsessive state, the more he feeds his own shadow and the more he projects onto the woman. It's like a snowball rolling down a hill, getting bigger and faster with each turn. If he doesn't stop and examine his own thoughts and actions, he could end up hurting himself and the woman deeply. But the choice is ultimately up to him. Will he stay trapped in his own prison of desire, or will he find the courage to break free and face reality? Only time will tell. We're all capable of great things. We have the potential to make a positive impact on the world and to be loving, caring individuals. But sometimes we let our darker impulses get the better of us, and we forget what's really important in life. That's why it's so important to be aware of our shadow and the dangers of giving our power away. When we do that, we can start to break down the walls of our own prison and live a life that's true to who we really are. And now I want to hear from you. Have you ever been in a situation where you saw someone becoming obsessed with another person to the point where they lost themselves? How did you handle it? What was the outcome? Share your experiences and insights in the comments below. Also, if you found this video helpful, please hit the like button and share it with anyone who could benefit from it. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos on how to navigate relationships and challenges in life. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.